formulas. They've given us, and these are going to both be in Celsius, okay? Here's our actual, okay, so that's the actual temperature outside and what it kind of feels like probably in the room we're in. So in one of these versions, I'm going to plug in and solve for F. Okay, so the first one, we're going to plug in our value of 27. And then the second one for 35, what we're going to do first is rearrange the formula and then plug in our value of 35 at the end. So you'll see there's two different ways we can go about solving this. In the first one, C stands for Celsius. Oh, I don't know how to spell that. C-E-L-S-I-U-S. S-I-U-S? Is that? No.
You missed the W.
No, S in the middle. It's a C.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's what our temperatures are at right now. We're going to plug in our value of 27 for our Celsius. So we have 27 is equal to 5 times F standing for our Fahrenheit temperature, which we're solving for, minus 32 divided by 9. The goal here is to get our value of our value or our variable of F by itself. So we need to move all of our constant terms, the 9, the 5, the 32, all the way to the other side of the equation. Okay? So when doing this, I want you guys to kind of think of reverse bed mass. Okay? So write bed mass up here. Yeah, you could say it backwards if you want, but think of starting with our adding and our subtracting first. Or really what it means is, what would the last thing you do in this question be? That would be the first thing you would move. So normally the last thing we would do is divide this question by 9. The order we would solve this is we'd solve the brackets, then we'd multiply, and then we would divide by our 9 at the very end. When moving things, we're going to take that 9, and that's the first thing we're going to move. So this 9, we're going to move it over. Now, because it's division on this side, when we move it to the other side, what does it become? That's right, we're going to have to multiply. So the question is now going to read 27 times 9 is equal to 5. F minus 32. Martino, what did you say it was?
243.
Okay, 243. Thank you. Okay. So, next when we're moving things, again, we would normally work with the brackets first and then multiply. So since this multiplication by 5 would be the last thing left we would do, that's going to be the next thing we would move. I need to move this 5. And since this 5 is multiplied by on this side, when we move it over, what do we have to do? That's right, we're going to have to divide. So in other words, it's kind of going to look like a fraction. 243 divided by 5 is equal to... Now these brackets kind of drop off. I'll write them in to start, but it's really the only thing left is to do that. What is it? 48.6? Thank you. Now, here, because there's only one thing left to do, we don't need to write it in brackets. We can leave it as F subtract 32. And now there's only one thing left to move over, and that's the 32 value. Okay? So, this is actually a negative 32. So when I move this negative 32 to the other side, what does that become? That's right. It will become a positive 32. Is equal to F. So we've now got F by itself, which is exactly what we were trying to do. When we add them all together, we're going to get 80.6 Fahrenheit. So the actual temperature right now is 80.6 Fahrenheit. So we did the first part. Next, we're going to solve for what it feels like. But instead of plugging in right away off the bat, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rearrange this formula. Okay, so we're going to start over here. We'll kind of draw a line down the middle so that we see a difference. Second way of doing it, exactly. We'll start with the original formula. So Celsius is equal to 5 multiplied by Fahrenheit minus 32, and everything is divided by the value of 9. Okay. In this version, and you might see a question like this that tells you isolate for F. Right, without plugging anything in. So to isolate for F, we don't have a value to plug in for C. So again, the goal is to get F by itself. We're going to move things in the same order. What would the first thing we move be? Yeah, we would. What is being divided? The 9. Yeah. So we'd move this 9 over, because it's divided by, it becomes multiplication. Now, this is where it gets a little trickier. What is c times 9? 9c, right? We leave it as just multiplied by. Okay. So we have 5 times f minus 32. And you could have said it as C9. It's the same thing. We usually just write the coefficient, which is the number in front. The next thing we'd move. That's right, the 5. And because the 5 is multiplied by, we need to divide when we come over. Now, when we go to divide, I'm going to write it as a fraction. So it's going to look like 9c divided by the value of 5 is equal to f minus 32. Now, this all needs to be done first. We're going to finally move this 32 over, and we move the negative 32 over. What does it become? Plus. So now this says 9c divided by 5 plus 32 is equal to Fahrenheit. So here we've now made the reverse formula. The reverse formula, if we know what Celsius is, we plug in our value for Celsius, and it'll tell us what the Fahrenheit is. Okay? Now, the Celsius in the question we were going to attempt, we said it felt like 35. So now what we can do is plug in our value for Celsius. Okay? We're going to plug in our value, and we'll do it in red since it's hot, of 35. 9 times 35 divided by 5 plus 32 equals F. We'll draw a line here. I'll get you guys with the calculators to help me out. I think it's going to be 63 divided by 5.
No, 9 times 35 is
And then you got to divide by 5. 63, that's what I said. Okay, so 63. So when you equate all this, sorry, I did a lot in my head there. 9 times 35 is what, Martino? 315. And then when you divide that value by 5, you end up at 63. So I did all of this in one step, and I got to the number 63. 63 plus 32 is what our Fahrenheit's going to be. What is it? 95. So it probably feels around 95 Fahrenheit in the room we're in right now.